Well, folks, welcome to Beat Diabetes, and I guess I should say, Benedicta, welcome to Beat Diabetes as well.
Thank you, Dennis.
Well, it's great to have you. People seem to like to have you around, and so when you aren't on for a few weeks, they get a little grumpy, so we've got to keep Benedicta coming.
Keep her coming.
Yeah, so today is not going to be anything very profound. In fact, it's going to be talking about a food that I've talked about before, showed you how to make it before. Actually, a couple of different foods we're going to combine, but I'm going to give you a couple of little tips. Some people like to call those hacks these days. Mm-hmm. Call it what you like. A rose by any other name smells just as sweet. So, first, I want to start with a definition. You know, we want to educate people, right? So maybe there's somebody here that doesn't know the meaning of special. Do you think there's anybody out in YouTube land that does not know what special means?
Special? Everybody knows what, special means.
Right. But I thought I would look it up and give you the official definition, at least according to Google.
Okay.
It says better, greater, or otherwise different from what is usual.
Okay.
Usual is good. Usual kind of helps you to know what's happening, what's going to happen. You're not taken by surprise. But, sometimes you can be so full of usual stuff that you're like, couldn't there be anything beside just the usual? Right? Yeah. So special. We talk about special people. And I'll never forget a time when we were talking over the phone. I think this was before we were married. So I'm calling you from Texas and you're in Lagos, Nigeria, and you weren't feeling very well. And I said, I wish I could be there right now so I could tuck you in bed, make you some soup, and tell you how special you are.
Oh, that warms my heart.
Well, that's about what you said when I said that. I'll never forget your response, except you put it even more powerfully. You said, you're going to make me cry.
Yeah.
So anyway, you are special. But right now we're talking about special events, special foods in this case.
Okay.
So, and the other word that I want to deal with before I really get into this is consolation. Consolation. Here's the definition. The comfort received by a person after a loss or disappointment.
Okay.
So you've been through something that has created a loss in your life or a tragedy or something that you have not liked at all, or maybe you've been disappointed and then someone gives you some special gift or some special blessing. Maybe God gives you as a kind of a consolation to make you feel like, well, at least I've got this.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that in terms of the diabetic.
Okay.
It comes for a shock to diabetics when they're first diagnosed, especially if they don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And then they watch a channel like mine or so many other guys on YouTube that promote a low-carb diet. Why do we do that? Because we understand that the problem with diabetics is your glucose is too high, and therefore your insulin is usually going to be too high. Right. Either you're having to take too much, or your pancreas is making too much and you're in a constant state of hyperinsulinemia. You've got insulin going on like crazy and that's not healthy. So high glucose, high insulin, not a good thing. You understand that behind all that is the carbohydrate.
Okay.
Especially certain carbohydrates, but really none of them are exactly your friend.
Carbohydrates and sugar?
Well, yeah, sugar is a carb. A lot of times we say carbs and sugars to make sure that people don't
separate the two.
Yeah, sugar is a carb, so you really don't have to say carbs and sugars. You can just say carbs, but sugar is such an evil carb. It's like the mother of all the evil carbs. It's the worst of the worst of the worst. Mm-hmm. So we kind of isolate sugar specially. Now, a new diabetic is going to be shocked when they realize how many things they really either cannot eat at all or they shouldn't eat much of.
Yeah.
When you start going over the list, I can't have this and I can't have that and I shouldn't have this and I shouldn't have much of that. And it can get depressing.
Very depressing.
And that's where I was years and years ago. It's like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I began to realize through a little reading and a little testing and experimentation, I can't have pasta. I can't have breakfast cereals. I can't have pancakes. I can't have blueberry muffins. I can't, and on and on. I can never have a sugary dessert and on and on. All these things.
It's depressing.
It's depressing.
Yeah.
Now, since then, I have learned there's a lot of great substitutes for people that want to keep their glucose under control and their insulin under control. There's a lot of great substitutes. And there's more and more popping up, more and more recipes surfacing on YouTube all the time. And if you don't understand that, just type in keto dessert, keto recipe, keto foods, keto meals, or low carb meals, low carb desserts, and so forth. And you won't have time to watch them. You'll grow to be an old man or an old woman, and you still won't have seen them all. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
A lot.
So.
And that's a good news that we have
is good
something
news.
that works.
Now, what we want to share today is what I consider a consolation. I mentioned the definition of consolation. It's like something you get after you've been disappointed or you've had a loss. What is the loss? You can't eat many carbs. You can eat some of the low-carb veggies, but you really need to stay away from things like potatoes and rice. I mean, imagine when you were in Lagos before you knew me and you knew all of this stuff, and someone had come up and wagged their finger in your face and said, Benedicta, you got to stop eating that rice. You got to stop eating that bread. What would you have said or what would you have done?
I bind.
Give him a slap in the face, right?
Yeah, I'll be like, get out of my head, Satan idea, I reject that. That's not the voice of God telling me to. Because in Africa, we like, to eat rice. That was like a special food we were raised with. And then when I'm in America, it's like, you gotta do away with that. You gotta do away with all the carbs. I'm like, no.
Yeah, you would not have liked anybody to tell you, and then you marry a guy that's essentially what he's saying. Although you don't follow it as strict as I do, and I don't try to enforce it with you.
I'm trying my best.
Right. So anyway, the consolation is this. What we're going to share with you, the food that we're going to share is so good. It just does not taste like it could possibly be low carb. Okay. It's about as good a dessert as there is, in my humble opinion. Yeah. I mean, we all have different preferences, but it's so good. And if someone had come to me after I figured out you can't have this, you can't have that, you can't have this, you can't have that, someone had come to me and said, well, Dennis, by the way, it's perfectly okay to eat chocolate cake and ice cream. Yeah. I just gave it away. But so if someone had said that, I would have been like you. I bind that thought. But it is.
You're learning quickly, aren't you?
Right. We're going to demonstrate today that it really, really is perfectly okay to eat chocolate cake and ice cream once in a while. Yeah. Now, there is a caveat to that, and that is it's still high calorie, and it'll still maybe put on the pounds if you eat too much of it. So I'm not saying eat it every day, eat it several times a week. Right. No. It's like, that goes back to the word special. We need treats once in a while. If you go to a person, you could beat diabetes real simple. You could say, every meal, eat a hamburger patty and some green beans. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Something.
Every meal, every week, every month, every year, hamburgers, just buy them by the hundreds, stock them up in your freezer, and green beans.
Somewhere along the line, somebody will be tired of eating the same thing.
Right. You need some special events. It's kind of like Christmas. Christmas comes along once per year. Yeah. Special day. But really, the entire month of December is a special month. I love December. Yeah. You play the Christmas carols. You visit relatives, and you get to see people you don't see so much throughout the year. And you decorate your house, and you start buying presents for people. I mean, the whole month is so cool. So 1 month out of 12 is just awesome. And then the 11, well, they're okay. If you happen to have a birthday in it, it's good. Valentine's Day is fun if you have
Easter.
A loved one.
Easter is fun.
Easter, sure. But we need special things in our life. Yeah. If I went to a person that just got diagnosed as having diabetes and said, it's hamburger patties and green beans all the way from here on in the rest of your life. Until you get to be 119, you're going to be eating hamburger patties and green beans. They'd be like, I don't know if I even want to live to be 119, if that's the case. So once in a while, the thing that will keep you on the straight and narrow and keep you doing the low-carb thing is knowing there are special treats like the one we're going to show you that will make your life pleasant. And for that particular meal, occasionally, it's like, wow, can I really eat this? And what we're going to show you is, yep, you really, really can. We are combining two favorite treats here and making all-American cake and ice cream, diabetic style. To make the ice cream, in a medium-sized bowl, combine 1 pint of heavy whipping cream, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and about 7 to 8 tablespoons of allulose. Remember, the allulose is not as sweet as sugar and many other substitutes. That's why it takes a little more. Mix with a hand mixer for about 5 minutes and boom, you are done. Place that bowl in the freezer for about 4 hours. To make the chocolate mug cake, in a bowl, crack an egg and mix it well. Add about 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder and 1 heaping tablespoon of almond flour, coconut flour, and powdered unsweetened cocoa. Add 2 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. Sweeten with about 3 packets of non-sugar sweetener. Stir together very well to make a batter. Now, this next part is optional, but I like to create chocolate shavings from a couple of pieces of unsweetened chocolate baking bar and mix it in. Sometimes I'll need to add a little extra cream to get the mixture to the right consistency after mixing in those chocolate shavings. Then put it in a mug or a ramekin and microwave it for about 90 seconds. Take it out and after cooling, cut it into 3 slices. We are back and dinner is ready. Show the folks what our dinner is tonight.
This is our dinner.
It is an omelet, and Benedicta makes a mean omelet. And one of the reasons I wanted one is because an omelet has almost no carbs. We do have some spinach in there, a little onions, so it's not going to be 0 carbs, but it's going to be very few. So essentially, any bump we get to our blood sugar is going to come from our dessert, this special treat that we've been talking about. And so let's move the omelet out of the way. And here we go. And Benedicta is going to teach you how to make this special treat. First, you're going to grab one of these babies.
There you are. This is chocolate, Chocolate. It's really
this is chocolate cake. It's dark chocolate. And just an awesome dessert. We've got several things to put on the ice cream, but let's get to the ice cream itself. It's been in the freezer for about 4 hours, I think.
Is it right?
So I think it's still nice and soft. Go ahead and put some on there as much as you like on top of your cake. This is what's known as cake and ice cream. When I was a kid, we'd go to birthday parties, and they always had to have cake and ice cream. It was mandatory.
Want me to put one on yours?
Go ahead, put one on mine as well. This will probably harden up more than what it is right now, as it sits in the freezer for some more hours. But for right now, it's quite nice and very soft.
Okay, it's not coming out everything.
Give me another big scoop.
Okay.
Okay, so chocolate cake and ice cream. Who would have thunk that you could eat something like this and still not affect blood sugar? But we're not done yet.
Not done yet.
So don't switch that dial. I just love to say that.
Yeah.
I used to say that on TV when I was a kid. Don't switch that dial. There was only like 3 channels you could switch to anyway, so you didn't have a lot of options.
If you go to the other 2 and they're not doing your favorite shows, you come right back.
All right, so we've got some unsweetened coconut. The key is unsweetened coconut. Put some up there, some of that on there. And I'm going to have to flatten this out so it can hold our next ingredient, which is peanuts. Actually, my normal choice is pecans, but in this case, we grabbed some peanuts. Go ahead and put some of those on there.
Right. Or any nuts, of your choice, right? Yeah.
Right. And then last, we're going to put some of this chocolate syrup on there. Now, this dessert, it's got low-carb chocolate cake, low-carb ice cream, unsweetened coconut, low-carb chocolate syrup, unsweetened, no sugar involved, and, of course, peanuts are naturally low-carb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in spite of the fact that it looks what they call decadent,
delicious.
It looks evil. It looks like it's too sinful to even touch.
No.
I don't think it's going to affect our blood sugar much. But before we eat this, well, we're going to take a bite just so Benedicta can give you the official Benedicta taste test. And then we'll go ahead and eat our dinner, have our dessert, wait about an hour and 15 minutes after we finish dinner and dessert, test ourselves, let you know what we did. Go ahead and take a bite and tell us, is this any good or not?
Okay. Is it a big bite or a small one?
Whatever you like, my love.
I got a big bite. It's so good.
It is really, really good. So if you will excuse us, we're going to have our dinner, have our omelet, have our chocolate cake and ice cream plus toppings. And we tested ourselves, our blood sugar. We were both under 100. We'll see where we go after we enjoy this marvelous meal. Before we get the results of the blood sugar test we did after eating this tasty treat, let me share a few tips we've learned that will make this recipe even better. First, the longer you mix the heavy cream, the puffier and lighter it will become, and this means it should be easier to serve and less hard after being in the freezer for a long time. So take a few extra minutes in mixing the cream, even after you feel it's already turned into the desired texture. Second, in my experience, powdered allulose works much better than granular allulose. This will keep the ice cream from tasting gritty, plus it seems to make it less hard and easier to serve even after being in the freezer for several days. Third, this mixture is so tasty that even after you've just made it, you can put it on your chocolate cake or mug cake and eat it immediately, or just eat it by itself in a bowl. It won't be cold, but it will be good. Well, we are back. Kind of ironic that we're eating ice cream on probably the coldest day of the winter.
I know.
Last night it was down to 10 or something like that.
We had a little snow.
A little bit of snow. Today got up into the mid-20s, and tonight it's supposed to go back down to 10. Winter's last gasp here in Texas. We Texans, we don't like that kind of cold. Anyway, here we are eating ice cream. You enjoyed your meal, though, right?
I did, yeah. It was so yummy and, awesome.
Yeah, omelet and ice cream and all the fixins. So, can you recall where you started before the meal and where you ended an hour and 15 minutes after the meal?
Okay, before the meal, I was 96.
Yep.
And then after the meal, I was 101.
That's right. You sound a little hesitant, like you're expecting me to tell you, which I do know. But anyway, 106 to 96 to 101, a 5-point rise, which is next to nothing. And mine was very similar, except that I was slightly lower. Before the meal, I was at 88, and after the meal, I was at 94. So a 6-point rise for me, next to nothing. We had some good food. That omelet was great, and that ice cream was great. Yeah. And we even had chocolate cake under the ice cream.
Yeah.
And we went nowhere.
That's right. It was good. Like this, nobody who is diabetic will be afraid of eating what we ate.
Well, here's my challenge to you, because some of you are saying, well, yeah, but that's just you. Well, test yourself.
Yeah.
Do the identical or something close to the identical foods that we had. Have an omelet. Make some of the ice cream. We'll leave a description, a recipe in the description. Have some ice cream, and do it before and after test, about an hour and 15 minutes afterwards, and see where you go. You know, here's something I was thinking.
What?
I was thinking about some of the other tests I've done with high carb foods.
Okay.
Like the time I did 2 bananas, and then I compared that with 2 candy bars, and the 2 bananas raised me higher than the candy bars. But the 2 bananas, that was all I had. 2 bananas.
I remember that. Yeah.
Went to 222 after about an hour. So what a difference. 222 for bananas, and I don't even get over 100 for chocolate cake and ice cream with the fixings. Crazy.
Yeah.
I've done potato tests, And potatoes almost always get me either close to 200 or over 200.
Yeah.
And here I had chocolate cake and ice cream. Let me say it again, chocolate cake and ice cream.
Yeah.
I don't even get over 100.
I know. And now is the time to give you my bill, for my, restaurant, like, you ate the main food, and then all the desserts and the fixing.
Right.
So my,
I tell you
bill.
what, have your people contact my people.
No, I'll give you my bill right here, $29.99.
Anyway, we hope you found this helpful. Just to know, and here's the takeaway. Really, I mean, granted, this is a great weapon in your repertoire of foods that work. At least for us, they do. They should work for you. But here's the takeaway. You have more control over your blood sugar levels than you realize. What you put in your mouth is going to make a huge difference as to what you see on your glucose meter an hour and 15 minutes afterwards, when you should be hitting your peak. With potatoes, 200 or so. With bananas, 222. With chocolate cake and ice cream, but keto chocolate cake, keto ice cream, unsweetened coconut, unsweetened chocolate syrup, doesn't even go over 100 for me, and for her, Benedicta, just 101. If you've been helped by this Beat Diabetes channel, consider making a financial gift to us through the link in the description. We have created hundreds and hundreds of videos to give you the tools to beat diabetes. It's a lot of work, and we've spent significant money in purchasing equipment so that our videos would be high quality. We see this work as a ministry, and it is our desire to break the chains of diabetes over your life and the lives of many other people throughout the world. If you can afford it, your financial gifts mean a lot to us and bless Benedicta and me in a big way.